With a funnel-shaped head and a long, tubular mouth, these golden retriever-sized mammals will make you check twice whether you're seeing a panda on its legs. Neither a giant nor an ant, its name will give you an idea about what it eats in a day. Devouring up to 35,000 ants and termites daily, these voracious animals are known to surprise even the top cats of the jungle, like the formidable jaguars and cougars. Meet the toothless insectivorous giant, who spells doom for any termite and ant mound in its vicinity, the giant anteater. Scientifically known as Myrmecophagotridactyla, this absolute unit can live up to 14 years in the wild just surviving on insects. Although its eyesight is poor, its hearing and sense of smell are exceptional. Its physique is long and slender with a coarse and dense fur, grayish in color, and a broad diagonal black stripe edged in white that runs from its neck to its chest by the mid-dorsal area. It has grayish-brown fur on its body, white front legs, black stripes on its chest and back, and a bushy tail. Their habitat and food habits have contributed to their unique and easily distinguishable physique. It is the largest of the 4 anteater species still around today, and the name anteater doesn't do them justice. Truly, they are ant devourers. They enjoy gobbling up ants. But that's not the only thing that they'll snack on. Of course, anteaters in Central and South America also eat beetles, bee larvae, termites, and other insects. There's even a species of anteater in the wilds of Panama that primarily eats fruit. Eventually, they'll just be called eaters. From the tip of its snout to the end of its tail, the giant anteater can grow to be 5.5 to 7.5 feet long. It's the only known living species on the Myrmecophagotridactyla genus and shares its place in the order of Pilosa with sloths. In contrast to other anteaters and sloths, which are primarily or exclusively arboreal or semi-arboreal, this species is the most terrestrial of the living anteater species. Its ancestors may originally have been adapted to the arboreal life, but the transition to life on the ground could have been aided by the expansion of open habitats such as the savanna in South America and the availability of colonial insects, such as termites, that provided a larger potential food source, as these insect-eating mammals can be found throughout South and Central America, across the tropical savannas and forests from Mexico to northern Argentina and Uruguay. Although their numbers are steadily dwindling in the South American continent, it was once living in Central America's lowland forests, and now lives in the Amazon basin southward of the grasslands of Paraguay and Argentina. Now it's most commonly found in the grasslands of Venezuela. They live alone or in pairs and consume ants and termites by inserting their sticky tongue into a nest torn open by the long, sharp, curved claws of their forefeet. Because of its unique diet, the giant anteater doesn't need teeth and is known as an edentate animal. Instead, their tongues can stretch out super far. That's right, the giant anteater can stick its tongue out 2 feet to snag a snack. Despite its length, the tongue is relatively narrow throughout, with its widest point measuring only 0.4 to 0.6 inches, or 1 to 1.5 centimeters if you're not in America. They use this massive tongue to catch insects and boast one of the highest tongue-to-body ratio in the animal world, and move it in and out around 160 times a minute, nearly 3 times a second. The giant anteater's feet resemble a bear's, with its 4-inch giant long claws, and the anteater walks on its knuckles. Look at this 7-foot-long giant anteater treading through the grasslands like a kid on a sugar rush because it picked up on the scent of a mound of termites nearby. With its bushy tail closely resembling a witch's broomstick, she ravages through the termite colonies in her path with her slick tongue and her 18-inch elephantine-long termite detector snout. Her poor eyesight is not a bother as long as her smelling senses work, which are 40 times stronger than a human's. And this time she's figured out a rather tasty species of termites are under this mound. This is where she deploys her weaponized claws and digs an opening for her snout and snakes in her long, slick tongue, which marks the end for the colony of termites and larvae residing in the mound. Their sharp claws are not just meant for digging, as giant anteaters are also known to fend off top cats of the jungle like jaguars and cougars. In 2006, The Guardian reporter Jeremy Hans heard a first-hand account of how some locals found a giant anteater and a jaguar embraced in the hug of death, which probably occurred after a tooth and nail fight in the dark of night. When they found the corpses, the jaguar's jaws drooped around the anteater's neck, where it had pierced the anteater's artery, and the anteater's 3.9-inch long claws were still embedded in the big cat's flanks. Looking at this camera trap video, the giant anteater doesn't flinch when crossing paths with the jaguar. As the jaguar launches its attack, the anteater shows off its defensive maneuver and launches on the offensive. It's a classic face-off between hunters of different kinds, one's fighting for survival and the other for prey. There's no telling who would win, because a male adult giant anteater can weigh up from 66 to 110 pounds, which is almost the same as an adult female jaguar. Even though they're insectivores, make no mistake, they are dangerous. Most zoologists will tell you don't mess with an anteater because it really doesn't want to be your friend. While anteaters usually avoid contact with humans, there have been reports in the last few years of humans losing their lives in direct confrontations with them. In 2014, scientists reported a gruesome death caused by the defensive stance of a giant anteater when it was being hunted. The victim was hunting when he was attacked, and his dogs cornered the adult anteater, which assumed an erect, threatening posture. Because he was afraid of accidentally shooting his dogs, the hunter did not fire his rifle. Instead, he approached the animal with a knife in his hand, but was grabbed by its forelimbs. He had puncture wounds and severe bleeding in his left inguinal region when his sons freed him, but he unfortunately passed away at the scene. Females are about 20% smaller than males and weigh around 44 to 88 pounds. Males and females reach sexual maturity by the age of 2.5 to 4 years. Their gestation period typically ranges between 120 to 190 days, and they usually produce one offspring, and they nurse the pup for 6 months. Living a generally solitary life, they do come together between March and May. Male anteaters hide their testicles inside their body. Little is known about their breeding habits, but they can breed as often as every 9 months. Their lifespan in the wild depends upon a lot of factors, but in captivity, the giant anteater can live up to 26 years. An adult female giant anteater gives birth standing up with the support of her strong tail. The pup is born with a full coat of hair and is nearly identical to an adult. The pup spends the first year of its life riding on the back of its mother. Similar coloring helps the pup blend so predators don't notice it. It also makes the mother appear bigger and less appealing to predators. The pup never leaves its mother for the first 4 weeks of its life. While she lies on her side, the pup tucks itself between her front legs and nurses for up to an hour at a time, drinking about 10% of its body weight each day. When the mother gets up to walk around, the baby climbs up onto her back and goes with her. Giant anteaters don't vocalize much, but a young one can make a loud, high-pitched grunt to get mom's attention when it's in trouble. After a month, the pup starts spending more time on the ground, but it still rides its mother's back a lot. Usually, young are weaned after 2 months, although they may continue to be carried on their mother's back until they're 9 months old, and it leaves their mother when it's about 2. While the anteater grows up to become adept at using its sharp claws to tear an opening into an anthill and put its long, sticky saliva snout and efficient tongue to work, it has to adapt to the painful stings of the ant as they're being devoured. As a result, the giant anteater, as mentioned beforehand, has to eat really fast. Ants respond with painful stings, so an anteater may only spend a minute feasting on each mound. Giant anteaters never destroy the ant nests, preferring to return and feed later. Their tongues are covered with tiny spines that point back into their throat and are coated with thick, sticky layers of saliva which are secreted from relatively enlarged salivary glands. The insect-coated tongue is firmly pressed against the anteater's hard upper palate before swallowing, crushing their meal and easing ingestion. Unlike humans, anteater stomachs don't secrete hydrochloric acid. To aid digestion, they rely on the formic acid content of their ant-dominated diet. The IUCN Red List officially classifies giant anteaters as vulnerable, as they're the most threatened mammals in Central America, and they're extinct in Guatemala, El Salvador, and Uruguay. There are only about 5,000 giant anteaters left on the planet right now. One of the most serious threats to giant anteaters is the loss of their grassland habitats. That is a major threat as sugarcane growers regularly burn their fields, ultimately affecting anteater habits. Some humans hunt them for food, while others kill them simply because they consider anteaters to be pests, as well as their low reproductive rate. In the Brazilian Cerrado biome, where a vast network of roads have disrupted their habitat, many are killed by road traffic. Cougars and jaguars are their natural predators. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.